better idea of what you're dealing with.
What do you think we actually are dealing with?
With the Mothman, it's a real conundrum. I think it must. By the way, have you ever noticed that we never see more than one at a time?
Yeah, I've always kind of thought that strange. Why isn't there a mate with it or a group of them?
Yeah, I guess they come in flocks. Maybe they come in a murder like crows do. But
maybe we need to kill one.
The one at a time.
Maybe
I'm wondering if it's the same one.
Maybe we need to kill one and see what happens, because it could be like the crow situation, only worse.
Maybe they're interdimensional.
Maybe it's only the one.
Yeah, that's a possibility. We'd find out really quick. At least then you'd have a body to take to. Again, you see one, you shoot it, and you find out it's some guy. It was dressed up in a costume. That's the scary thought in my mind. But then again, if a guy in a costume can levitate off the ground or fly next to a truck doing 60 miles an hour and just like stare at you, then take off, I don't know. It's kind of strange.
I'm thinking shoot first and ask questions later. I mean, I'm kind of serious about that. If you have something horrible coming at you, if someone's doing a practical joke on that level, then they kind of deserve what they get. I mean, maybe not really, but if they're capable of levitating and doing all this, and they're doing it to terrify and harass people, but I don't think that's likely in this case because, I mean, people have, like you said, run into them with their car. In the Mothman prophecies, they did, and the woman that you're talking about in Texas did.
Yeah.
I don't think that a human being would risk a practical joke to that degree where they'd be hit by a car and also not be fazed by it, not hurt by it. So whatever this thing is, it is beyond our ken. And so I think I'd have to say, if I was really pushed on the issue, I'd have to say alien, because I have a feeling that it's flying through an artificial means, and that it probably came from a world where it can fly. And so when it comes here, it's devised some means where it can do it artificially to levitate itself and fly in our environment, just as we would on a very heavy planet have an exoskeleton that we're developing even now for soldiers to be able to do just the same sort of thing, give us extra strength on the battlefield, but it would work well on another planet. So that's what I think what we're seeing. And I don't know why we're only seeing one at a time, why we're not seeing more than one, because with UFOs you often see groups of them. But in this case, it's hard to define why it's only the one.
Yeah, that's the interesting part. And again, it has to be something that we just can't comprehend, because, again, like this one trucker, back, a year or two ago said, he saw this, Mothman or whatever it was, outside his cab window, and he's doing, around 60 miles an hour on the road stretch. And the thing is just looking at him and flies off, but it's not really flapping its wings much. I don't know many birds that can just accelerate without, flapping their wings really hard to get going. I mean, they can get into, a airlift and stuff like this, but to be following a truck like that and just go faster than the truck and take off and disappear, it just tells me that the wings are not really doing much of anything.
Well, the couple in Point Pleasant were with another couple in the car, and they were racing down the highway when they saw one standing in the field, and then it came after them. And they said they reached approximately 100 miles an hour, and it was flying along with them at ease. It didn't appear to be flapping its wings particularly much. So that sounds to me like an artificial means of traveling. I mean, you've got wings, so you need them to fly, but you're not using them. So what are you using?
Maybe to balance. I don't know. Hey, our time is up, Rob. Where can they find your books? And do you have a website? Anything you can give out for people can find you?
Sure. My website that I use is robshelsky.blogspot.com. And you can find my books on Amazon. Just type in the name Shelsky, or just Google Rob Shelsky, and it'll all come up. Or go to Permuted Press. I have a number of books there, and also with Simon & Schuster.
Well, like always, you've been on here, numerous times. Every time you're on, you're a delight. Your knowledge is far exceeding.
I find you a particularly good host. I mean, I love just sort of shooting the breeze and trying to come to answers because it brings more questions to my mind. And like with the idea, why do we only see one of these Mothmen? So it works for me, too.
Well, like I said, all you have to do is shoot one, and maybe you'll see a whole bunch of them at where you live, waiting for you to come out. And then it'll be like cattle mutilation with you. I have no idea. Hey, Rob, I want you to have a great weekend that's coming up.
You too, sir. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for coming on. Good night, sir.
See you, Rob. Bye.
Good night, James.
Bye. So, James, what do you think?
Yeah.
Mothman.
Oh.
Do you feel they're real?
Oh, yeah. I definitely feel they're real. And here's some plausible theories that may answer some of your questions that you had there. If they're interdimensional beings, they can come and go singularly. And maybe one of the reasons why, they have wings, but yet they really don't use them, because he's right, it's against the laws of physics that it would even work. But maybe they're projecting from our minds memories from contemporary movies or whatever to make us see what they want us to see. Maybe we're seeing them with wings, but maybe they're nothing more than a pool of liquid. But that's what they're having us see them that way. That would justify their wings, but not using them. I mean, it's just a plausible thing, but who knows?
Well, think about this, James. Think about this one. Maybe the people that are seeing Mothman or other cryptids, right, have been abducted. And then they implant, these cryptids in their mind. So when they're sitting there, monitoring that person they abducted, instead of seeing an alien, they put one of these cryptic thoughts in your mind, like Mothman or Bigfoot or Lizard Man or whatever. They just something, when they sit there and scan your brain when they're abducting you and doing all these tests, maybe they're finding thoughts in your mind as something that you're so terrified about. You see what I'm getting at?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I agree with you. We've touched on that with some of the alien beings and some of the things that happen. But, yeah, I definitely could see that happening. Absolutely. Maybe, and again, like the guest you had on about a year or so ago that kept seeing the owls, that's good kind of a similarity. Maybe they're, again, projecting these thoughts into our mind, what we see.
Well, like the guy you mentioned who was a game warden, I don't remember what state. But he came home from work. He lived in an area where there's no houses by. He had his long driveway, and he didn't bother closing the curtains at night because he lived out where nobody was at. So he wasn't worried about peeping Toms. So here he is. He's going to bed, and he's just getting ready to go to bed. And he looks out his window, and he sees like these alien grays or something that looks like grays walking kind of like down his driveway, and then they come through his window. And that's all he remembers. And then he all of a sudden he writes a book about owls. He goes places out in the woods. He starts seeing owls everywhere. To me, like I said before, and I told him on the show, I said, you know what? Undoubtedly, if you had these grays come walking down the driveway, they come into your bedroom, and you're on your bed, and you don't remember anymore. They abducted you. And they put maybe those owls in your mind. So every time maybe they're watching him and monitoring him as a subject. Instead of scaring him, of like, wow, there's another gray watching me. When he sees a gray in his mind, he's not seeing a gray. He's seeing an owl. Well, maybe these people, like that truck driver last night, had emailed me up in Eugene, Oregon. Maybe the guy's been abducted. So when all of a sudden he sees an alien, his mind doesn't see the alien. He sees something else, cryptic, something totally different, not to associate with what his abduction was. And maybe going back to Point Pleasant, there were sightings like mad of UFOs in the area. So,
yeah, there was. And yeah.
So that's what I think. Maybe these people who are seeing stuff like that are abductees. They don't even realize it. So, Rob, if you're listening to that, give that some thought. And, well, guess what? Message me on Messenger and tell me what your thoughts on that is. But just think about that. maybe these people are seeing these Bigfoot or Mothman or stuff like that are not seeing the real thing. It could be a gray or a lizard, whatever, reptile. Who knows what it is? But
it's perfect because it's just like us. It's like perfect camouflage. If you want, like us, if we want to go duck hunting or observe ducks, we build a blind so they don't see us. They're seeing like other ducks, decoys, or they're seeing just woods. That's perfect. That could be the same similarity of what they're doing to us when we see owls. Yeah, it's probably them, but in order not to spook us, we see owls and not grays or some monster.
Well, in a case like this, the average person's, okay, well, you know what? In my mind, a Mothman couldn't exist. So I must have been really tired. And I just imagined, that guy standing over there looked like a Mothman. Who knows? But maybe it wasn't a Mothman. It was an alien. Maybe he's getting ready to be abducted again. Maybe when he slept in his cab that night, he was abducted. Who knows? I tell you what, we without answers, we can sit here and surmise for days on this. But there is something out there.
Oh, yeah.
And I just don't know what it is. I can't tie it together. But in most of these cases where Mothman has been sighted, there's been UFO reports. Even in Blanco, Texas, where this lady, hit the Mothman, there were sightings in that area, that time frame of UFO activity. So something might be.
And, a lot of the UFOs, one of the theories is some of them are interdimensional, too. Matter of fact, I think even Art Bell had somebody call in and say that one time.
Oh, yeah. Now, who's our guest tomorrow?
Tomorrow night, my friend and ghost hunter, Tony and Cherie Raffman. And they're very good, very scientific. And boy, oh boy, he's good. They're not one of the kinds of, everything's a ghost. They have the equipment. He's very... data and scientific and proven, and he's really good.
So that should be a good, interesting show tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, definitely. If you're into evidence and proof and not hearsay and she said and equipment to use and you want to hear good stuff, he's the man. And I think the old Phelps, one of the old hotels there in Arizona, he owns or rents or runs. It's very popular and very haunted.
Interesting. Now, a big shout out to Earl Grey. We play some of his bumper music. He is a talented, he can play a guitar better than a lot of people. He can sing fantastic, as if you people haven't noticed. Then we have Metatron Power and Light. Tom does the vocals. Great guy, great friend. I love him like you wouldn't believe. And then a shout out to all the truckers that listen to the show. My hat goes off to you guys because what you do. And then a big shout out again to Rob tonight, because I'll tell you what, he's one heck of a great, great guest. We always have a lot of listeners when he's on. He always is well, compared to a lot of guests. You ask him a question and he comes up with answers. He's really well, versed in, cryptics and paranormal. So, from everything from cryptics to UFOs, he has a lot of knowledge.
Yes, he's got more than 10 minutes worth of stuff, and it's not fake, it's real, and it's legit.
So check out his books on Amazon. The one you want to look at is Mysteries of Mothman, if you're into Mothman. Killer UFOs is another one you might want to check out, too. So anyway, till tomorrow, everybody have a great one, and stay out of trouble.
Bye-bye.
History, I pause to take a sigh.
You can advertise your business on Night Dreams Talk Radio, and you will be heard worldwide. Why not contact us at nightdreamstalkradio@gmail.com.